Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and I thought I'd do a quick video just to follow up on a bed where I was growing kale that I'd overseeded the bed and I hadn't thinned them all summer long. And a few weeks ago, it was either 2 or 3 weeks ago, the bed was a complete mess because I had procrastinated and I hadn't thinned the plants out and dealt with a pretty bad flea beetle infestation problem that was happening in that bed. Just wanted to do a follow-up to show how quickly these plants have recovered. Because remember, I thinned them and I moved some of them, and I was pretty aggressive with the bed, but they were mature plants. So even though it's September and we're, getting into fall, fall's only a couple weeks away, when you've got mature plants like that with mature root balls and they've got energy stored in their roots, they can grow and recover really fast, especially if your summer's extended a little bit. Cooled down a little bit a couple weeks ago, but this week's going to be a warm one. And, who knows what kind of September we're going to have. But I find kale here where I am usually continue to grow pretty well until like October, and then they start to slow down. So anyway, let me show you what they look like now. So you can see they're all spaced out. And if you remember what they looked like when I initially did this, the whole bed looked really, really sad. Now I've got these nice healthy plants. This one here that you're looking at is about, right now it's about 1 foot or maybe 13 inches in diameter. I imagine in a week or so this will be 2 feet in diameter. Now you can see the older foliage is still got some of that flea beetle damage, right? But the newer stuff, much less flea beetle damage, right? So I'll just show you the rest. There's another one, same deal, right? But they're all looking really good, right? So I mean, I left a few really bad leaves on them for a week, and then once I saw a really good growth coming up, I pulled off the rest of the bad leaves. Because even bad leaves can supply energy to a plant, even though they're inedible. Like a leaf like this, we wouldn't really pick that for food unless we were desperate. But that leaf is gathering energy from the sun, and it is helping to fuel the growth of the rest of the plant. So you leave it there for a while, right? No point in removing every leaf. But you can see they're all recovering really well. Okay, so the routine was, and the reason the flea beetles have not come back is because I spaced the plants out so the flea beetles don't have a place to hide from their predators. It's just less of a favorable environment. I mean, they like mulch. Most pests like mulch, right? But because I've spaced everything out and every plant's getting all the sun it needs, right? The plants are not competing with one another for sunlight, nutrients, and resources. So every plant is getting really, really healthy. Every plant has everything it could possibly want. Imagine like a human being living in a health food store surrounded by a spa with a personal masseuse and a personal doctor, kind of like movie stars. You know how good they look, right? So now these plants kind of have like a movie star level of life, and so they're very healthy and they're kind of more resistant to things. And also I gave them a bit of a help, right? So the week after I thin them, every 2 days, 3 times, right? So for over a 6-day period, every 2 days I came out and sprayed a little bit of insecticidal soap on them, each plant, right? Because the flea beetles are still around. There was an explosion of flea beetles on this bed. So I just sprayed some of that stuff around. I used the kind of insecticidal soap that's, perfectly fine for organic gardens. If you want to buy it, you can get it from my sponsor of SC Seeds. It's called Safer's End All. You buy it in a thing of concentrate, it'll last you a decade or more, right? So just doing that over a 6-day period, I haven't done it since, right? Because it hasn't needed it, right? Everything's fine. I get, the odd little bit. You can see the old foliage has the pest damage, but the new stuff, very little pest damage, right? Because the plant, it's just, I reduced the population and the plants are healthy, and so it's just not a problem anymore. So you don't need to keep spraying and keep spraying. I think that's a misconception some people have about pesticides. They use them all the time. You use them when you need them, and then you don't use them, right? Because what's the point, right? That's just more work, and it's not good for anything anyway, so no point. But yeah, now they're doing great, and I expect in a couple weeks I'll have my first decent kale harvest of this season, and lots more, right? And there's another bed. I'll show you the other bed, because I took some of the ones I pulled out of here. I stuck them in the ground in another part of the garden. All right, so you can see these ones. Again, you can see the damage. I have not gone over these as meticulously as the other bed. You can see I haven't completely weeded this bed, and I haven't removed all the old foliage. But that's the kind of damage I had on my plants, right? I had all these plants. I probably removed about 70% of the plants, and I left about 15% in the other bed, and I moved 15% into this bed. Right, today I will remove all this bad foliage, and I will just give the bed a good once over, and then get a mulch on this bed, and so that these plants can really have a good fall growing. And this is my version of fall greens, right? Instead of trying to plant stuff in August, it's very difficult to get seedlings growing in August. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. You just thin existing plants, and you use beds that have cleared out. This was a garlic bed, but you harvest all your garlic in early August or even end of July sometimes. So you just thin things out and you put them in the spare beds, and then you get a really good crop. You can see that these ones aren't quite as big as the other bed. They're a little bit behind because these ones are pulled right out of the ground, just bare rooted and stuck back in, right? So it takes them a week or so to recover from that, but they do. And in a few weeks, these look really good as well. Anyway, that's the situation with this kale right now. It's working out really great, and I can't wait to have a nice mess of kale in a few weeks. First mess of kale of the year with a delicious meal. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast at maritimegardening.com. And check out my weekly article at maritimegardening.substack.com. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.